The better links with schools and clubs, the more people are going to stay involved in the game. The more people involved in the game, the more meaningful matches you have, the better the experience, the longevity of the game that we have. And I would hear a lot about schools and age grade rugby that they stop playing whenever they finish school for various reasons, but ultimately there's a strong sense of belonging and identity to their school and their connection, and it's then trying to provide that for them at club level. And if at club level you can start to source how they do that and why they do that, and adapting to the young person, then you can provide that at a club for them to have that identity and belonging and have impact.
I sort of made a decision about halfway through my last year in school that would probably be me for rugby, leaving the sort of school environment. Then our head coach asked me to just consider the rugby club and go to both pre-seasons, and go to a football pre-season and a rugby pre-season and see which one was the better fit for me. And at the end of the summer I decided to stay on with the rugby club. The culture of training and getting there and the social aspect.
From a school's point of view is that we're in the business of nurturing young men and helping young men to grow and develop as individuals. So it's very important in our rugby programme that we create a sense of culture and a sense of shared values. The flow of that idea from school to club is clearly evident in the way in which the fellas who are playing at the club come back into the school, bring those, we close that circle in a way.
So like Saturday morning there'd be players helping the second 15, and then Aaron Playfair's been working with the forwards. He plays for the club, he's a lot of help.
I think the club and the school deserve real credit in terms of the above and beyond the efforts they went to build a partnership and have a really strong relationship, and in doing so they're creating a seamless transition for the guys aged 16 and 18 who are leaving school and want to stay involved in the school game. I think importantly for those guys there is a real familiarity with the club, and a genuine familiarity at that. They are aware of the club facilities, they are aware of the club people, the club ethos.
At the club they've invited us to various events such as pre-match meals or nights out to try and encourage the high school ones to move on into the club and experience the different levels of teams there after school.
It was really interesting and definitely quite attractive to go to after school. It's exciting to see what's going on there.
I believe in trying to hit a sweet spot of what is the middle of fun when they're being involved in the game, the connection of the people they're playing with and surrounded by, but also having that focus element, and that's relative to the competition of the team that they're involved in, whether it's at schoolboy, first, second or third 15. And similarly so whenever they're transitioning from age grade, the under 20 is a strong option where that's also provided for their level of entry, or that could be hitting that first 15 where it's a little bit more competitive, or second 15 or third 15. And ultimately it comes down to providing a positive rugby experience for them. I'm a firm believer that under 20s is providing that for them, because they're getting to connect with those boys that they played with over the previous year or 2 years previous, and then whenever we can match them up with adults within first and second and third 15, it's just trying to make it as positive as we can.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of boys who I played with here before and they left 2 years ago. They say the same, that the coaching's similar. It's a lot more intense obviously, but it's still really enjoyable, it's still creative, there's always new things, training's never the same. It's always a different thing every session, it's always enjoyable.
When I move out of school, and hopefully if I'm still in the Ulster age grade, I have to play for a club as well, so I'm hoping to make transition from school over to club rugby. It's encouraging for me because there's lots of levels to it. So there's an under 20s team, a fourths, a firsts, a seconds and a ones. So I know there's not a pressure that I have to be in the ones. I can just come in, play under 20s and not get thrown straight in with grown men. There's build up to it.
Once you actually go, you realise that there's not a daunting task of playing against people older than you or a higher skill level. There's something at a rugby club for everyone, and it's more inclusive.
And that's something which I think is really, really attractive to them. They know whenever they leave, regardless of how social or how recreational they want to play the game or how competitive they want to be, there is something for them at the club, and the club have worked really, really hard to build out that suite of options.
There's always been that traditional link there, but in recent years it's really strengthened, and we now have guys coming here and instead of going to All Ireland clubs or so it's great to see that link, and it's strengthening right throughout the club.
Relationships is a strong thing that's needed and having an open door policy is easily said that you want to have at your rugby club for young ones to leave schools and under 18 age grade rugby to come in, but it's how you go about building them. So we explored a pre-match dinner is a simple thing to do, but we try to do them early in the year, so then they feel welcome to come back and watch a rugby match, whether that's an under 20s match of some of their former teammates or former primary school friends that they maybe haven't got to play with since the last 7 to 8 years, or then coming back and using the facilities. If their pitches aren't maybe up to standard on a Saturday afternoon through wear and tear, and we can accommodate that from a school point of view as well. So there's generally a bit of give and take.
I couldn't encourage more now at schoolboy level to see past school, past what happens in here. It's very easy to close off with schools cup and competitive cups once you hit senior level at school, and you don't really think, and you think at the end that's going to be the pinnacle of what you reach at rugby. But there's so much more enjoyment and more to rugby when you join a club atmosphere, and if we can start to embed that earlier and start to get players to come and watch club games, or players to come do a training session to watch our ones train and see how the club operates and see the similarities between club and school, I think it's really encouraging, and they start to become part of the environment at club level as well, with talking to players and committee members, and then that pressure to go, or that fear to go, really is taken off after school.
I think clubs should really spend time and focus some effort in terms of looking at the opportunities for overlap and for partnership. Are there opportunities for club players and coaches to invest some time in their local schools? Are there opportunities for facility sharing and sharing of resources and practices and strategies? And I think clubs that spend the additional time and effort in that will really reap the rewards in terms of growing their player base, keeping people in the game and having longevity in the game, to try and build those relationships, to try and have that overlap in terms of the personnel that might be involved, and really just stay committed to keeping everybody involved in the game and having that level of enjoyment, because the reality is that that's what it's all about for everyone, and it'll ultimately support growing and sustaining the game within the province.